Welcome to another exciting show of Inspirational Journeys, and thank you for watching us. Well, today we have a very inspiring guest, and she's a lovely lady. We've been chatting here, so it's been wonderful from the start, and I know every one of you will enjoy the show. So her name is Ebbe Bassey?
Yes.
Okay, I said it right.
You did. Most times people say Bassey, Bassey, but you got it right.
Yes. So we want to introduce you to Ebbe. As I said, she's a very inspiring guest. And I want her to tell us her story.
So I grew up in Nigeria, and I moved to the United States in 1991, came here for college. And yeah, so far so good. I like it. And after college, actually, I started working for Customs and Border Protection, believe it or not.
Okay.
And
I didn't know that.
Yes. So, and I do love what I do. I've been there, it's going to be 29 years.
Okay.
But during that interim time, I've always been a creative person. So at one point, I was dating a nice young man, and he said to me, "Have you always wanted to do this job? Like, who wakes up and says they want to be a customs officer? Like, that's, you know."
Where does it come from?
Yeah. So I said, well, you know, I always wanted to be an actor. So he's like, well, why are you whispering it? Like it's some forbidden thing. Like if you know, say it with your chest, you know. So I said, yeah, you know, I always wanted to be an actor, you know. And so he took me to William Esper's studio, and I did the summer program, and they invited me back for the next one, and then the next one, and then my first role was on NYPD Blue. I was a bus driver.
Oh.
I hit somebody. Surprised I made it here. I hit somebody with my bus. So that was my first role, and I've not turned back since, but I am very African, right? I have to keep my regular job until somebody offers me a trip to Hollywood with a contract signed, paid for. I'll keep my regular job. I've been very lucky that I could do both.
Yes.
You know, it's flexible enough for me to do both.
Okay.
And then fast forward to me having, you know, met my lovely Polish husband who's from around here. And we had our daughter Anoushka. And Anoushka was diagnosed with Down syndrome in utero. And they tried to, you know, the usual. Are you sure you want to keep it? It's going to make your life so difficult. You know, all the stuff they tell you. It's always the negative, not the positive. Nothing positive. It's always, oh, your life will be ruined. You're not going to be able to keep a job, find a babysitter, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But we decided we were going to have her.
Of course.
It was my last hurrah because I was 43, right? And so it happened, and she came into the world. Well, she tried to come into the world on the A train. I'm eating a perfectly good bacon and egg and cheese sandwich, and this girl had the nerve to kick me in my back and decide she wanted to walk out into the world on the A train.
So I was going to ask you about that
Yes.
because you mentioned it in the book, and I wasn't sure what you meant, you know, with the information that you provided us with. So can you explain us again? So
I'm eating a perfectly good bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich on the number A train going to my appointment. So at this point, I'm 30 weeks, right? And I'm supposed to be going twice a week for my scan. So I went on Monday, and this Thursday, I'm going for the second one. And the worst pain I ever felt kicked in. I was so discombobulated. Instead of taking a train, switching to the local train to go 2 more stops down, I went back uptown. I went back towards my house. And then I realized where I am. And then I get off, and I get on the train, and I walked in labor to my doctor's office. And I get there, and they, you know, put me on a table, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna go down the southern hemisphere, and I'm gonna check what's going on. And she comes back, she goes, oh, I feel feet. I said, feet? Where does she think she's going? And so I ended up in the back of the ambulance. Fast forward 2 hours later, Anoushka came into the world.
Nice.
Yes, and she has been sassy ever since.
Yes. That's how you described her.
I call her
Yes.
my delightful handful, the sassy miss.
So tell us about it. What was that? How did you feel when you were given the message that she was going to come into the world as a Down syndrome baby?
The message was quite somber. You know, when they tell it to you, and I really do wish the doctors would do a better job at delivering this news, right?
Sure.
It's not like the child is going to die. It's not the end of my life as a parent or her life as a baby.
Of course.
She's still my daughter, I'm still her mom, we're still going to live life. It might be a different type of motherhood, but I'm still a mother, right?
Of course.
I might have challenges, but that doesn't mean, make it any different from any other woman, right? Just a little bit more added onto my plate. But the way they deliver the news, my goodness, is as if your life is over. What was worse was, when I had Anoushka, it was an emergency C-section of, circumstances,
Sure.
right? The doctor came in, the way she sauntered in, very uncaring, hand in pocket. She stands far away from me. She didn't come over and say, "How are you feeling? You okay?" Quite a traumatic entrance into the world, huh?
Yes.
So are you aware that your daughter has Down syndrome?
Okay, so there was
I didn't
no
get
compassion.
That. None whatsoever. No care in the world. She walked in. She said to me from a couple of feet away, no touching, nothing. Do you know your daughter has Down syndrome? Are you aware your daughter has Down syndrome? Just like that.
And was it that the first time that you knew about it?
Oh, no, because she was diagnosed in utero, so I
Okay.
knew. So most of my pregnancy, I was unhappy.
Okay.
I was not happy at all because of how it was presented to me, right? That it's
The
gonna be this
narrative.
the narrative
The
was so
narrative
negative,
around,
and
yes.
so I was so caught up in, oh my God, this is this is my only child, and then I
Sure.
fell into praying. Oh gosh, it was a bona fide service in the morning in my house. If I wasn't talking to people, I was praying under my breath constantly. In the evening, same thing. I had friends, have pastors, and people calling me just to pray because it was just
Sure.
like presented to me in such a bad way, and everything you hear is so negative. Like, you're never going to enjoy a party in your life, And so it just put me in I was in such a shell-shocked stage.
Yes.
And then when
a lot of stress, which is what we don't need when we're pregnant.
Yes, and I have to tell you, at the time also, I was on Off-Broadway. I'm singing and I'm dancing and acting off-Broadway,
wow.
plus my regular job.
Yes.
And then this news.
Sure.
I started out very happy in my pregnancy
Okay.
until, the news. And so when Anoushka came into the world, I'm bombarded by service providers, all the paperwork to fill out. It was so overwhelming that I fell into such a deep depression, a deep and dark depression.
Right after you gave birth?
Oh, yes. And the thing is that they don't really discuss postpartum.
No.
They don't even discuss it like, say, before, right? They don't
As
even
a
hint
proactive
at it. Yes,
measure.
yes, because there are women who are depressed during their pregnancy. They really are. But the doctors don't really spend time discussing that.
No.
You walk in, they measure you, they measure your blood pressure. They, it's just measure.
Sure.
And then telling you the results. Oh, the baby's this size and this and that. That's really it. Nobody addresses the mental health.
That's what I was going to say, in a holistic way.
Yes. They don't look at the whole person.
Picture, and the whole picture and
Yes,
situations
exactly.
surrounding the
Right.
pregnancy.
They care about the fetus, but the mother, on the other hand, could be looking she must be just tired. No,
Yes.
that's not just tired in some cases
Sure.
where a mother walks in and she's not looking, pulled together. I'm not saying a full face beat, okay?
Yes,
I'm
yes.
just saying
Yeah.
looking pulled together. They don't talk about that stuff. Even your mother doesn't talk about it. You know, everybody talks about the joy of motherhood.
That's true.
They
And
keep
it's very,
all the other little nitty-gritty stuff from you.
yes, and very interesting that you say that, because this just opens up the conversation, about mental health
Mental
for
health
women that are
before,
pregnant, before,
during,
after,
and after. Yes.
And when would you say that things started to shift? Because I know you've made it your mission, and you made it very positive. Your experience is very positive, and we're going to talk about it. I wanted to know, when did you feel that things started to shift, and was there anyone that was key to that?
You mean shift
Pivotal moment.
into depression, or shift me
Out,
getting out?
out of
Okay.
depression.
Yes. So I was in such a dark state that I was contemplating getting rid of myself. I wanted
that point.
yes, it was that bad. So I made half attempts. Researched what I could do, this and that. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you'll be the one woman trying to kill herself, end up broken up pieces on the floor. You probably wouldn't get it right, you know?
Yeah.
And so...
During pregnancy?
No,
Or
after.
Okay.
Yeah, after Anoushka was home.
Okay.
It was straight postpartum. Like, I would not open the curtains. I would not... The stuff that used to bring me joy, music. I love to sing. I love to dance. My husband would... I'm always laughing. I was always, very optimistic person, right?
Sure.
And everything that gave me joy went away. I didn't want to hear music. I didn't want the sun to come in.
Those are the first signs of depression.
I didn't want the sun to
That's
come
very
in. I lost 65
characteristic.
pounds. I wasn't eating. I wasn't drinking water, and I was ruminating over and over and over again. Same thought pattern going over and over again. So my good friend, her name is Tokwe Imebore, Dr. Tokwe Imebore. She's a physician, but she's like my big sister.
Sure.
She was checking on me, and I was talking to her, and it fell out. I ended up telling her what I was doing. And because she's a doctor, she's a mandatory reporter. And so she called Mark, and she said, Mark, this is beyond just postpartum depression. Evie is suicidal.
Yeah,
like she
needs help.
Yeah, she needs help. You can't just sit there. And Mark had a difficult time too, because he didn't know how to help me. He stressed because at the time he didn't have like steady employment. He was working, but he was teaching and trying. After years of being in music, he was trying to ease his way back into teaching. So there was that. There was his feeling about having to actually leave music to go back to teaching, and then there's the stress of having a baby at home, and then a wife that he knew as one way that now presents as another way.
Yes.
So
and then the care of the baby.
The care of the baby. Which, in spite of my depression, it did not affect my care of her, right? None of my feelings were towards her. It was me.
Yes.
Right? I wanted to get rid of me. I didn't nothing to do with the baby, to be clear.
Yes.
And so when she told him that, he was like, oh, okay. This is going beyond the pale. So a friend of his who's a surgeon, we seem to have a lot of doctor friends, recommended a place called the Motherhood Center.
Okay.
It is the one and only place, I believe, in the United States that deals specifically with mothers. Depression.
Is it here in Connecticut?
No, it's actually in New York.
It's in New York.
It's in New York, and their job is to work with pregnant women and post,
Postpartum depression.
Yes. So they work with pre, and post.
Yes.
So they, when I went there were all kinds of people. Women who lived in the financial districts with night nurses. I mean, with money. Even at the time, I have to tell you, I was mad. I was like, "All your money, what you doing in here?" But it goes to show you that
it doesn't discriminate.
It is not a respecter of anybody.
Not discriminate.
Exactly. Yes. So there were pregnant people there, and there were people who already had their babies like me. And I loved that place because they had a nursery, and they had women who worked in a nursery. They had everything you needed. You didn't need to bring anything but your baby. And maybe if your baby had a specific type of milk they want to, and things like that. But they had everything in there.
Okay.
And they fed you.
Okay.
And it was a full day program. You came in at 9 and you didn't leave until 3.
Okay, and was it a one-on-one or is it a group therapy?
It's all of it. So you got, when we come in, it was a group. Then everybody went to their separate therapists for one-on-one.
Sure.
They would bring mindfulness people to come and do yoga, breathing exercises. If you didn't want to do that, you can go and do adult coloring. They had so many things to help.
Yes.
But they were the most compassionate people. The way I wanted a doctor to be is how they were.
Yes.
Understanding, not they know what Down syndrome is, they know what it entails, but they didn't let me know that, it's going to be horrible.
Yeah.
They treated me with kindness, with compassion, with understanding. And a lot of doctors could go there and learn how to talk to women like myself,
Exactly.
right? And so I completed the program. It's a 30-day program. I would go in every day, and it was helpful. And when I graduated from there, I was feeling like I was returning.
Hopeful.
Yeah, I was returning to myself, to who I was, and more hopeful.
Yes.
And I have to tell you, another thing that helped me was I found a program called Born This Way. And it was on A&E. It was a reality program, and I think it's the first time a reality program actually served some purpose, some usefulness. Because it followed 8 young adults with Down syndrome and showed them living their whole and full and beautiful life. Graduated from school.
As you and I spoke, there's no education about it. And reality is that there's a lot of people with Down syndrome that make out of their lives like perfectly fine.
Living their best life.
Living their best life, living their best version.
Yes.
And they even exceed
This is what this book is about.
I want to definitely get into that because, as you said in the book, the extraordinary heroes. There's so many people doing so many wonderful things, very inspiring, not only for the Down syndrome community, but for us.
Yes. As I said to you, when I wrote this book, initially I just started out with wanting to have my daughter have people that she could look up to.
Of course, that she could relate to.
That she could relate to.
Definitely.
But then, I realized it hit me maybe about a couple of months ago. I said, it's not just Anoushka that's inspired. I'm inspired by the parents that produced these amazing kids.
The support system.
The support system, the love, the compassion, not just the parents, but the community, getting involved in some cases, supporting them when they're at the Special Olympics, coming in and cheering them on, So I'm inspired by the parents of these folks, and now my daughter is also inspired by the people that are in the book. As a creative, sometimes you have to pivot. I'm an actor, but then there was a need to be filled.
Of course.
And I pivoted into, because I've written screenplays. I've never written a children's book, so this is my first, right?
Okay.
But I've written screenplays. I shot I have 2 short films that I wrote and, produced. So this was quite different.
Yes.
But the love that I did this with obviously is different from, just writing a script.
It touches your heart very close.
Yes.
So tell us, when is it the moment that you decide to do the book?
Ooh, wee girl. So several things, right? When
I'm fast forwarding.
Yes. So when I was in the throes of my depression, I had not done a lot of research when the doctor told me that Anoushka would have Down syndrome, because I was sure my Jesus was not going to let me down. I'm like, healing. So I really didn't do it because I was like, I'm not going to have a kid with Down syndrome. I'm praying, I'm my faith, right? And so once I knew for a fact, because she's in my arm, hey, it is what it is, right? I fell into a rabbit hole of what Facebook group can I join? Now I'm trying to
Sure,
snatch
looking for
information,
community and
looking for
information
community.
and
Yes.
educating yourself.
Yes. So I'm on one of these groups, and a young lady who was pregnant with that kid is probably about 4 or 5 now, right? She was pregnant with her first child, and she had been told the child was going to have Down syndrome, and her parents descended on her. Parents, grandparents, all inundating her with, you're never going to keep a job. No, who's going to watch this kid? No babysitter. You're not going to travel. You're not even going to be able to go to a restaurant and sit without people, So again, bombardment of negative information. She said one thing. She said, is there any book with any persons with Down syndrome accomplishing anything that I can show them that my child can do much better than what they're, telling me? At the time, it was just like, I'm dealing with my own crap, right? So it just, but your subconscious has a way of retaining information, and it pops up somewhere, and you're like, whoa, where did that come from, right?
Yes,
I don't know if it's happened to you, but it's happened to me.
It's happened multiple times.
So that information just kind of went there and stayed there. And then I'm reading to my daughter 2 years ago a book called Iconic Women A to Z. So it starts with Amelia Earhart, and then it was Beyonce, Coco Chanel, so on, Flo-Jo was F, so on and so forth.
Sure.
The last one was kind of silly. They had V for Venus de Milo, the goddess. I'm like, what happened to Venus Williams, the tennis player?
Yes.
Like, hello. Beyonce's not the only black woman accomplishing some of, we got other people. Anywho, the two things now when, I'm in the shower. Well, not my hair. I'm a black woman. We don't do that in the shower. So I'm washing up, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Exactly.
It's like Oprah says, the aha moment.
The aha moment. I was going to say that.
Eureka!
Yes, like, whoa.
Whoa.
Here
Why
it
is there not
like,
a book? Yeah. I'm like, these women are great, right? A to Z, they're great. Coco, they're great. I read to her little leaders. It has, Phyllis Whitley and, Marie, so many people, right? Coretta Scott King, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
As a black woman, yes, these are great. As a black girl, black young lady, great role models. I will never take that from her. But what people see first is her disability, right? They will note that first. And I said, she needs her own role models.
Of course.
She needs somebody that she could look up to and see that, wow, they went through all the stuff that I'm going through. Walking being slightly of a challenge, balance being slightly of a challenge. But guess what? She's open water swimming.
Exactly.
Coordination is so, a little bit off, but look at Emmanuel Bishop. He's playing the violin, blah, blah, blah. So that she can know she can do so much more.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And break down on the perceptions that influence all of us as we grow up. Even without a disability, you're influenced by how people look at you or what they say to you. Or So how interesting. So continue.
And so the funny thing is that when Anoushka was born and I fell into this rabbit hole of seeking information, I had created an IG account for her, right? And I used to post pictures and information of people that had Down syndrome. Never thought of a book.
Okay.
Never did. She was months old. And just to, that was the beginning of, I guess, of my advocacy in a sense. Like, hey, look at this, somebody like my daughter, but look at what they're doing.
Sure.
It didn't even dawn on me then to have a book because that was not when it was supposed to happen.
Exactly.
This is when it was to happen.
Sure.
Because now, my mouth is big, I can talk. Right. Back then, I was like, I'm still like this woman with the child with the Down syndrome being conscious because, like, I remember showing her to my neighbor the first time, and she went, because she was thinking you know, biracial cute baby I'm gonna see. She's still biracial, she's still cute.
Yes.
So I don't know what you're popping back for,
Yes.
but she did.
Okay.
So it took me a while to get used to, and I would sit on a train and I would see people like look at me and then have this little pity on their face. And
Yes.
I used to want to say, why are you
Why?
pitying? What is
Exactly.
making pity?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not feeling bad about myself. How are you taking on feeling bad about Down
Okay.
syndrome for me?
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Yes.
The things that you see, the things you experience, you realize the depth of ignorance.
That's true.
On the
That's
playground.
with
It's like,
so many
yes.
disabilities.
Why
and
are you
so many
staring? Just say
situations.
hi.
Exactly. Exactly.
I didn't give birth to a green Martian. She's a baby, you know. So I already sort of was doing the preparatory work without knowing what I was going for. I was
Yeah.
just, you know, just my little way of encouraging myself. Really, that's what it was.
Exactly. But then you started opening up those doors as to
Yes.
helping others.
Yes.
Because I'm
And
pretty sure
it
you started to
became-
become inspiring.
Yes,
to others going through the same.
yes, and so and I have to say this, just to say, I was very angry for the longest time, so I had to encourage myself. I you know, growing up, I didn't have a lot of encouragement. Growing up in Africa, it's boom, boom. Nobody, you know, they love you, but our attitude is,
Yes, it's
they have the
different.
roof, you have clothes on your back, shoes on your feet, you're
That's-
good? Okay, you're good.
Yes, yes.
So you learn how to self-motivate, self-encourage. And so it took me a long time between, you know, being at the Motherhood Center, my husband and I working together with a therapist friend who's become a very good friend to us. Rhonda Lehman, she worked with us and helped us to get to where we became a family, right? But I also still had to work on my anger, you know, while I wasn't going to disparage my daughter and stuff, but the vision of motherhood I had
You had to change.
changed.
Yes.
So I had to shift my mindset. And as you know, human beings, change
Yes.
doesn't come easily. to us.
Definitely no. We resist the
We
change.
resist it. And one thing Rhonda said to me, and I'm going to say this to anybody going through anything, she said, until you accept that this is the version of motherhood you're going to get, you're going to stay in pain.
Sure.
So that, in addition to me being naturally a resilient person, I've gone through a lot of things. That's a whole other show, child.
Yeah.
In my life. But I've always found a way to get up.
Yes.
And it took me a while to come to that because I'm so used to being strong.
Yes.
That,
We're taught to be like
Yes.
that. You know, especially as you said,
Yes.
our type of cultures, because we come
Yes.
kind of the same
Yes,
background.
it
You come
is.
from
The boat
Africa,
just
I'm
stopped in Puerto Rico.
And it's like, yes, you're encouraged to kind of get in touch with your feelings, but then
not
just
too
shake
much.
it, but not too much. Shake it up and just do what you have to do.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. It's like, okay, you have 2 minutes to cry,
Yes.
and then you need to get on with
Yes.
your life, right?
Yes.
So I'm glad I had that background because I think without it, I would have really gone through
Okay.
with the attempts I was making. But I knew I still wanted to be here, but it was the pain,
Yes,
pain.
yes.
And I tell you, when I went through this is when I truly had compassion for people who do drugs. Because the pain.
The pain is
the
so strong
anger,
that it takes over. It
yes,
can take
yes,
over.
Yes,
It can
and
take
feeling
over.
betrayed by God. I prayed so
Yes.
hard. Why would
There's
you?
so many
There are so
emotions
many emotions
and
rolling
mixed feelings
around.
that come through, especially
Yes.
religion also.
Yes, there's the hormone from the pregnancy, there's the hormone from the in vitro,
Yes.
because I had Anoushka through in vitro.
Yeah.
So everything was like a cauldron of feelings.
But you shifted in a very, very positive way, which not everyone gets to do that. You made it a
Support system.
purpose, and you made it a
Yes.
purpose.
Girl, I took that sour grape, I said, pop the champagne, pop, ta, ta. Yes. You know what? Again, it's because Rhonda said to me, you're going to have to accept this, or you're just going to fade away.
Yeah.
You're just not going to be
That's
you,
true.
Evie. And so I had to recalibrate. I had to...
I love that word,
Yes,
recalibrate.
Because sometimes, you're just going in life. And it was the first time in my life something really, really serious hit me.
Yeah. And you
It
had
was
to
the first
stop.
time in my life I couldn't fix something. Because I've always been that person
Ooh,
that,
that's-
what is it? Okay, what we doing? What we doing? Bum, 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 we're done. With this, I couldn't. So I had to sit in my feelings. I had to sit with it. I had to recalibrate. And then I had to find...
Reprogram.
Yes.
Reprogram.
Yes. Hey, Eves, you know what? And gratitude. I had to find gratitude also. It helps. Acceptance and gratitude. Today I posted, gratitude is my superpower.
Yes.
And once I found that gratitude, that you could have been dead on that train. What if that train had been stuck in the tunnel, as New York trains are known to do?
Yes.
I already had multiple surgeries on my stomach, so I was told I couldn't push, so I couldn't have had a fee birth. I must just use fee birth, right?
Yes.
And so there's that. And then the fact that my daughter was born at 30 weeks and she's thriving. She's speaking. She's healthy. There was so much I could be grateful for.
Exactly.
So instead of wasting my time
Thinking about
all
one thing,
the stuff,
which is a challenge, but is, as you said at the beginning, is no ending of the world. It's just a challenge, and who doesn't have a challenge?
Right.
We all have a challenge.
Right.
Like,
even now, I tell people, some of the neurotypical mothers that will make maybe snide comments, blah, blah, blah. I said, listen, I know my challenges up front. I know what I'm dealing with. You don't know what yours could be.
exactly.
Tomorrow, your kid could jump into a pool, boom, pow, quadriplegic.
Yeah.
Don't look at people's challenges and use it to define them as a whole or as your way of placing them in a hierarchy in your life, Or you don't want to invite my daughter to a birthday party? I'm my daughter's best friend. I roll on the floor better than your kid could roll on the floor with mine.
That's true.
So there are those things. But they got the right one, baby.
Yeah.
Anoushka picked the right mother.
Yes. So after you write the book, to what extent are you able to share the book with others? How has that perception of others has impacted
how they perceive the book?
Yes.
Oh, honey, I could not be so bothered. This book, right? Okay, so let me finish one thing, right? So the idea, boom, in the shower, boom, I get it, right? So then I sit and I start researching. Of course, I called my friend who's a lawyer. I said, hey, I want to write this book, and they're real people. So he said, okay, if you do this, that, you shouldn't have a problem. I said, bet. So I did my research. But I have to tell you, there were times I felt like I couldn't go on because, it's money. I'm not yet a millionaire, right? It's coming, but it ain't here yet. So I gotta operate with where I'm at, right, till the money comes, right? So I'm on a budget here, shoestring, okay? So I'm on a shoestring budget trying to self-publish this book and stuff, and and I got Anoushka and therapies and all the various things, mothers, women, we carry on so much that I'm doing. And I was so discouraged, like, am I ever going to get this done? And this editor, no. And then this illustrator took my money, ran, didn't give me. So it was a lot of challenges. But I tell you why I pushed through. I went to visit a family member, and not from my side. And said person and her kid is playing with mine. And said person says to me, oh, how's your daughter doing? Now, don't ask me about Anoushka. I'll brag for days. So I'm like, oh, she's amazing. She's doing this. And she's, I'm like, she knows her 1 to 3, her colors, her shapes, and she's really doing well in preschool. And I said, but one thing about this girl, she is so sassy. I said, I need her to get paid for this sass and get her own place, because 2 sassy queens cannot live in the same house. And she needs to get a job. And she leans over to me and says, oh, she could bag groceries.
Oh my God. Oh,
So
geez.
I'm looking.
Yes, like.
Because I'm trying to find who she talking to.
Exactly, not me.
I said, my child will not be bagging groceries. Thank you very much. Now, there's nothing wrong with bagging groceries, folks. Please don't get me wrong. But the thing is, nobody on career day, when they said, what do you want to do for a living, said, ew, I want to bag groceries. That's something somebody falls into.
Yeah.
Due to. And there are people who retire and they just want to get out of the house. And they do it. It's not stressful. I get to meet people.
Sure.
Perfect. It's great. But the temerity of you to just assign that to my child automatically. As a career path. As if she couldn't be a secretary or manage an office or be a teacher, a teacher's aide, a secretary or, a senatorial aide like Melissa Riley in Massachusetts. She is the aide to the senator. So you think my daughter she would have never said that to a mother of an average child.
Yes, exactly.
Never would she have said that. But the ignorance in her assumed that people that have Down syndrome could only attain a certain level,
like,
work certain jobs. Yes. The nerve. I said, you know what? Today is not the day to snatch her edges.
Yes.
But anyway, that pushed me. Another instance that pushed me was there's a young lady I hadn't seen in a long time. I wouldn't say we were friends. She was my seamstress. And the last time she had seen me, she'd measured me for some pants. I was pregnant with Anoushka. So then COVID and blah, blah, blah. We catch up. She has 2 kids. She tells me, I had twins. And I said, congratulations, my God, right? And then I said to her, and the last time you saw me, I was pregnant. I said, I had Anoushka. She is fabulous. She has Down syndrome. And just like I would say, oh, yeah. I said, oh, she's doing wonderfully, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as I said she had Down syndrome, she goes, I'm so sorry. I said, who died? She said, no, you said Down syndrome. I said, darling, anytime any mother tells you they have a kid and they say, all you have to say is congratulations.
Exactly.
That's it. Don't say nothing else.
Exactly.
Because I don't know what you're sorry for, because my kid is fine. I said, I didn't tell you she has cancer. She has Down syndrome.
Which is...
Okay. Yeah. That's like if I said, okay, my daughter was born and didn't have one finger. Would you tell me sorry then? Yeah. It's just part of who she is. It's not all of who she is. It's just a part of who she is. So I said, keep your sorry, darling. Yeah. Don't tell me you're sorry.
Yeah. So when you wrote the book, how do you determine who were the people that you were going to highlight?
Let me tell you, people would think that, it's a limited choice. No, it's not a limited choice. I actually had problems picking.
Exactly.
See,
that's what
the
I would
thing.
Imagine.
Yes, people need to know that there are so many wonderfully smart and brilliant people with Down syndrome. I had to be like, ooh, who do I get?
Who do I pick?
Who? So I tried to pick according to the field of what they do.
And I noticed that there was a lot of diversity as to different
I didn't want just American people. I wanted to have people from all over, I also want to have different ages, right? So the oldest we have is 63, right? Judith Scott.
Yes.
And then I also wanted to have different career paths so people could be encouraged. So I have a model, I have a gymnast, I have musicians, I have actors, I have painters, and so I have all various ones. So that's how I picked them. I have college graduates. I have, so I wanted people to not be able to find inspiration.
Exactly. Exactly. And where have you been able to share the book?
So here, right?
And we want to tell the audience before we leave where they can find it.
Oh, absolutely. So I've been able to do some. I have a reading tomorrow. Tomorrow is World Down Syndrome Day.
Yes.
So I'm going to do a reading in Harlem, and then on Sunday I'll do a reading in Westport. So it's slowly catching on. But I have to say, the cutest thing, my very first ever reading of this book in public was to a Girl Scout troop.
Okay.
I loved that. That was my first one. And let
Really
me tell you,
nice.
they asked amazing questions.
Yes.
Very intelligent questions. They were like 12 years old.
Yes.
If. So I've got a couple of book readings going on.
Okay.
And then I've done 3 podcasts so
Okay.
far. I mean, it's slowly coming along. I'm still waiting for Miss Tamron Hall and Jay Hood and Drew Barrymore, Sherry Shepherd. Come on now, Kelly Clarkson. Y'all need to call the girl. As you can see, I likes to talk.
Yes.
So anyway,
Okay.
this is one, and
Okay.
and also on. Oh God, I'm full on my
Okay.
social medias.
Yes.
When people buy a book, they send me pictures because I have a post your copy campaign going.
Okay.
So if you buy a book, you send me a picture, I put it up, and usually I have a song that has to do with gratitude or thanks or
Okay.
appreciating. So that's been running on all my social media.
Okay. So where they can find you?
So, first of all, I need to share something, right?
Okay.
So, can I share the book? Can I do
Of
that?
course, yes.
So,
That's
this book has
perfect.
a lot of great detail, right? So, this is my daughter on the front. That's Anoushka. And those are some of her heroes. That's Isabella Tejada. She's an amazing designer from Guatemala, and her clothing is all about her culture,
Yes.
right? And then that's Emmanuel Bishop, an amazing, amazing violin player, and he speaks 4 languages.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what you.
Yeah, and then that's
the book.
James Martin, and he won an Academy Award last year. But what I really want to show you that's important is the symbolism of this book, right? So blue and yellow is the color for Down syndrome. But I want you to see we have these 3 arrows, and that represents the lucky few community. And if you see someone with a tattoo with that, they either have a child or they love someone with Down syndrome.
Interesting.
And it always points upwards because we're always going upwards and upwards. We don't stay down because there's nothing to be down about. And our kids are down right.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then NLS is for No Limit Squad. There is no limit a person with Down syndrome can attain within whatever they want to do. The diamond is the hardest rock. And you could never meet anybody more strong than people with Down syndrome. Their resilience
They are very
is amazing.
resilient, yes.
You know, the things that people go through with Down syndrome, and they still keep
And they're
such a
very
positive spirit.
Yes, and they're very observant
Very
and
observant.
very quick
Yes.
to pick up on things that
Yes.
other people don't see.
Yes. So
Interesting.
the mirror is an oval. Oval represents rebirth, right? And for me, there was a rebirth when I had Anoushka, right?
Yes.
And it also represents a zest for life. And people with Down syndrome, don't put some music on.
Yeah. Oh no! Listen,
They
I
will
know
kick
that.
it off.
I know that because when I was young, I used to do talent shows. At
Yeah.
high school.
Yes.
And one of my best friends, her brother has Down
Down
syndrome.
syndrome, yeah.
And he would. Like rehearse with us when
Yes.
we go, and he
Oh,
would dance.
wear you
till
out.
this day.
Wear
he's
you
40
out.
something.
Wow.
Until this day, he still remembers the steps. It was the
Wow.
song from Debbie Gibson, Electric
Oh,
Youth,
yes.
and he still
Wow.
remembers the steps. It's incredible.
And
Yes.
lastly, it's Anoushka looking at her adult self, because I want every kid to know that, and adult,
Yes.
that inside of you there is a hero just waiting to come out and do something, really glorious.
Exactly.
So that's, I don't want people to
That's-
lose the symbolism
Wow,
in that,
that's-
as you can see
yes.
there. So
So-
the book is on Amazon.
Okay, I was gonna ask you, yes.
And the book is on Amazon, and it's also on Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
And then I was able to, and I'm continuing to work on this, get physical copies. There's a bookstore called Kindred Thoughts in Bridgeport, and so the book is available there as
Okay,
well.
so Anoushka, Extraordinary Heroes. For
Anoushka's
those of you that want to get the book,
Yes.
you can find it in Amazon.
Yes.
And
Yes.
also in Barnes and Nobles.
Yes. What I love about this book, right, at the beginning of it, it tells a quote by the person.
Yes.
And in the center of it, it tells you their life story and their
Yes.
journey. And at the end, which is the book end, right,
Yes.
is 3 things that a child can hope to attain. So, for instance, I'll just read one here. Melissa Riley, her quote was, I don't really like that word retard because it puts people down, people with disabilities. And whenever I talk about it, it makes me a little bit emotional. Let the public know that using the R word is not acceptable. Then at the end, which is the book end, it says, Melissa is some of the best things to be in the world. A leader, adventurous, and exemplary. I want, on a last note, another important reason for this book for me is that forever and a day, people always talk about people with Down syndrome as, oh, they're so happy, like all the time, right? And it's the go-to, right?
Sure.
But I want people to see people with Down syndrome also as leaders, as travelers,
As you said,
readers,
motivators,
inspiring, somebody that anyone can
Role
look
models.
up to as a role model, not just a child with Down syndrome or any other disability, but a neurotypical child can look at any of these people and be inspired by their journey.
Exactly.
So.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Ebbe, for being here. Thank you so much.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Of course, definitely.
Thank you.
So much, and I really hope, audience, that you've been inspired by Ebbe's story. As we want to remind you, you can get Anoushka Extraordinary Heroes book in Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. And thank you so much for watching, and continue to be inspired by the people that we have around that can really teach us such great things in life to get better and be the best version of ourselves. So thank you very much for watching.